Hey guys, I am back with another channeled message for you. But first I want you to take a breath. Let it be slow. Let it be real. What I want to say to you today is not something that you haven't felt before. It's something you've felt many times and not quite trusted. So we're going to sit with it together. Not rush past it. Not immediately translate it into action. Just let it arrive the way it's been trying to arrive for a while now. Something is completing. Not ending, but completing. There's a difference here that matters enormously. An ending is a loss. A completion is a fullness. A thing that has reached the natural boundary of what it was meant to be. And what is completing right now, for many of you, is a very long chapter of learning how to survive being as sensitive as you are. You learned how to manage it. You learned how to contain it. You learned how to move through the world in a way that minimized the impact. Yours on other people, and theirs on you. You got very good at it. Some of you got so good at it that you forgot you were doing it at all. The management became invisible. The containing became your personality. And the original thing, the raw, unedited, genuinely extraordinary capacity you came in with, got smaller and smaller. Not because it diminished, but because the space you were allowing it to occupy did. That chapter is completing now. I want to talk about Mercury retrograde for a moment, because what is happening in the sky right now is not separate from what I'm describing. Mercury went retrograde in Cancer on June 29th. Mercury retrograde has a bad reputation. The broken technology, the missed communications, the everything going sideways energy. And yes, those things do happen. But the deeper purpose of Mercury retrograde has always been this. It turns the messenger inward. Instead of transmitting outward, Mercury is receiving. Instead of broadcasting, it's listening. And in Cancer, the sign of emotional memory, of what we carry, of the places we learned what it meant to be safe or unsafe, being fully ourselves, this retrograde is asking a very specific question. What story have you been telling yourself about your sensitivity? Not the official story, not the spiritual reframe, the actual story, the one that runs underneath, the one that says, even if you've never said it out loud, that it would be easier to feel less. That the world would receive you better if you were a little more like everyone else. That your capacity to feel everything is a beautiful gift wrapped in an exhausting liability. That story. That's the one Mercury retrograde in Cancer is pulling up for you right now. And it's pulling it up not to validate it, but to give you one more clear look at it before you choose to put it down. Here's what I want you to hear, really hear, not just receive as information. Your sensitivity was never the wound. The wound was what happened to your sensitivity in an environment that didn't know what to do with it. The wound was being handed your own extraordinary perception and being told, through words, absence, correction, through the subtle and persistent message that you were being too much, that it was a problem to be managed rather than a gift to be developed. And so you managed it. Of course you did. That was survival. That was wisdom in the moment it was needed. You did exactly what you needed to do to remain intact in a world that wasn't built for the way that you're wired. But you're not in that moment anymore. The world is different now than the one that taught you to make yourself smaller. You are different. The path underneath your feet has changed, even if the habit of bracing for the old terrain hasn't caught up yet. And the sensitivity that got compressed, contained, managed down to something presentable, it's still there. It has been there the entire time, waiting, not with urgency, not with impatience, but with the steady patience of something that knows it belongs to you and can afford to wait until you're ready. So are you ready? Next, I want to talk about what Leo season is asking of you, because it arrives this week and it arrives with intention. Cancer asked you to go inward, to feel what was actually there, to stop managing the emotional landscape long enough to actually walk through it. Some of you have spent the last month or the last several months, maybe even longer, doing that inner work, sitting with the old grief, letting the old patterns surface, feeling the weight of what you've been carrying and beginning slowly to put some of it down. Leo is not asking you to continue that work. Leo is asking you to bring what you found back up to the surface. Leo is the sign of the heart made visible, of the authentic self in expression, of the courage it takes to let what is genuinely, specifically you, not the curated version, not the version that's been shaped to be acceptable, be seen by the world. And here's where it becomes relevant to your sensitivity specifically. For most of your life, your sensitivity has been a private thing, something you experienced internally, managed carefully, and shared selectively. Because showing it fully, really letting people see how deeply you feel, how completely you register everything, how much you know and sense and perceive, has historically come with a cost. Misunderstanding, being dismissed, being labeled unstable or dramatic or difficult, being loved conditionally in the version of you that kept it contained. Leo is asking you to offer it differently now. Not performing it, not making it a spectacle, not bypassing the discernment that you've earned, but genuinely from your actual center, letting your sensitivity be part of how you move through the world, rather than something you move through the world in spite of. The empath who hides their gift is like a healer who keeps their hands behind their back. The gift is still there, but it's not doing what it came to do. I want to speak specifically to those of you who are somewhere in a spiritual awakening right now, because this moment, this specific crossing point, is going to be significant for you. You came into your awakening through the sensitivity. For most of you, the opening didn't happen gently. Something probably cracked wide open. Something broke that couldn't be put back together. And the sensitivity, which was already present, amplified in ways that were disorienting and sometimes frightening. Everything came in louder. The emotional field you'd always been perceiving became impossible to ignore. The gifts that had been operating in the background came to the foreground, whether you were ready or not. And you've been in the process of learning how to hold all of that, how to manage the expanded state, how to function in ordinary reality while also perceiving so much more of it than the people around you. That work is real. It has been necessary. It has been, in many ways, the whole curriculum of the first phase of your awakening. But there is a second phase, and many of you are standing at its threshold right now. The second phase is not about learning to hold the expanded state. It's about learning how to act from it. The first phase turned you inward. The second phase turns you outward. Not to the old outward, not back to who you were before that crack happened, but to a genuinely new expression, one that is informed by everything the inward journey showed you, one that carries the depth of what you found in the water without losing itself in the water. This is what completing means. The inward journey has given you something. The second phase is about bringing that something back into your relationships, your work, into the way you are of service to the world, into the specific way that you walk through the world as the being you are, rather than the being that the world asked you to be. We also have the 7/7 portal coming up, Monday, July 7th, the 7th day of the 7th month. In numerology, 7 is the seeker, the vibration of truth, of inner knowing, of the mystical and the sacred. It's a day when the veil between your conscious awareness and your deeper knowing thins, when what you genuinely know but haven't quite let yourself act from becomes more accessible. I want to invite you to use that day intentionally, not with a complicated ritual, not with a list of affirmations, but simply this. On Monday, sit somewhere quiet and ask yourself honestly, what do I actually know? Not what I hope is true, not what I've been told is true. What do I actually, in my body, in my bones, in the place underneath all of the managing and containing and adjusting, what do I know? And then, and this is the important part, let the answer be enough. Don't immediately analyze it. Don't immediately figure out what to do with it. Just let it be known. Let yourself be in the presence of your own knowing without immediately trying to make it useful or safe or acceptable. That moment of genuine self-recognition, that is what the 7/7 portal is for. So here's what I want to close with, and I want to say it as directly as I know how. You are not too much. You have never been too much. The environments that taught you that you were too much were themselves simply too small for what you came to bring. The relationships that couldn't hold your depth were relationships that had reached their own capacity. The world that told you to manage yourself down was a world that hadn't yet learned what to do with the kind of perception that you carry. And none of that is evidence about you. All of it was evidence about context. And the context is changing. It is changing because you are changing. It is changing because an increasing number of people on this planet are waking up to a reality that sensitivity is not a weakness to be corrected. It is a capacity to be developed. That feeling everything is not a liability to be managed. It is a form of intelligence to be trusted. That the empaths and the highly sensitive people and the ones who have perceived more than they were supposed to admit, they are not here in spite of their sensitivity. They are here because of it. You are not here despite what you feel. You are here because of what you feel. And it's time. It is genuinely, specifically, this moment in your life time to stop surviving that and to start living from it. That is the message. Take it in, Let it settle. And when you're ready, not before, not out of urgency, but from your actual center, when it's genuinely ready, take one step forward from that. That's all. One step from your actual center, and the rest will follow.